Hello again, gamers. Welcome back to the Board Game Captain. I'm the Captain, and today I'm going to be reviewing and talking about this board game, Gambit of Kings. It's an abstract strategy board game. And I want to start by giving a big thank you to the designers who gave me this free copy to be able to play and review. So thank you. Before we get too into this, I do want to say I've got a ton of links in the description down below that you can check out at your leisure. There's a link to BoardGameCaptain.com, which is a great hub for all things Board Game Captain. There's also a link to my Teespring store. You can get some cool merch like this here, this shirt that says, "I drink and I game, it's what I do," as well as other t-shirts and mugs, etc. And there's a link to my Patreon if you're in a position to and would like to support the channel. Head over to my Patreon, link in the description down below. Okay, so Gambit of Kings is a board game. It is listed as being for ages 10 and up, for 2 players, and 20 to 60 minutes. I don't have any issues with any of this. The 10 and up is fine. It's about the same complexity as chess, so I get that. 2 players, it's a strictly 2-player game. And the 20 to 60 minutes is similar too, because again, this is an abstract strategy game that plays a lot like chess. So a lot of things that you would say about chess, time-wise, age-wise, all really hold true for this game as well. So when you open up the box, you have a rule book here. The rule book is pretty good. It has, a lot of explanations of how everything works. It's got in here a cheat sheet for how the pieces move, which is really nice. And then there is a separate cheat sheet for how the pieces move so that each player can have a cheat sheet, which is really quite good because, you're learning to move a lot of pieces that are not the same as chess pieces, and it's good to know how they move. Then you have a board. I'm going to pull this board out here. Now, the board is a board of squares, similar to like chess, except that it is 10 by 10 and not 8 by 8. And that is because you play with a larger number of pieces and therefore need a larger board. Now, the board is absolutely gorgeous. I love the colors here. Yeah, no complaints about board. This is really nice. Probably one of my favorite part of this game, production-wise. Then you've got these pieces. Now, the pieces are white and black. They are different names for the different sides, but not different moves. This game is completely symmetrical. You have units like this giant here. They are two-sided, but they are stickers that you sticker yourself onto pieces that look very similar to, say, the pieces from Stratego, but strangely, even though getting pieces like the ones from Stratego, they decided not to go with a hidden piece mechanic, which is a little odd. But yeah, there are lots of different pieces, very clear to see. A little bit of a pain to sticker them down, but it's not the worst thing in the world. There's the castle there. So now here's the thing. I'm not going to do a full tutorial on this because if you've ever played chess, and really who hasn't played chess, then you know how the basic game is played. Now there's 2 modes to the game. There's the basic version and there's the expanded rules. So let's start with the basic version. So the basic version has you set up the pieces in the standard setup, which has in front, you have on the good guy side, soldiers and elves, the bad guy side, orcs and skeletons. Now these are sort of your pawns, though generally are a little more maneuverable than pawns are in chess. Generally speaking, the elves and orcs are much better than the soldiers or skeletons, as the elves and orcs can move diagonally 1 or 2 spaces, which is far more maneuverable than pawns in chess. The soldiers or skeletons can move up to 2 spaces forward or 1 space to the side, but they cannot capture while moving 2 spaces forward. They can capture a guy directly in front of them, and when they do, they get to upgrade themselves to a knight, which is why each side comes with a couple of extra knights / death knights because of this upgrade ability. But this is going to be something that's going to very rarely happen because someone has to have left their piece literally right in front of one of them. You had to have had one of them guarding something your opponent really wanted to capture for this to even happen. So it is kind of rare, actually. And then otherwise, yeah, the game plays a lot like chess. You take turns, you move pieces, you capture opponents' pieces. The castle takes the place of the king in chess. The big difference between the castle and the king in chess is that the castle cannot move. If your opponent captures your castle, they win. They beat you. That's it. Which is a little strange to me because, again, similar to Stratego, the castle feels like the flag in Stratego, except, again, yes, they did not go with a hidden piece element. Which is, again, it's just a bit of a head scratcher to me. It feels like with pieces like this, they should have gone with a hidden piece element, had all the pieces be able to do a basic move, and then you could reveal them to do their special move, which would have been really cool. Now they have an expanded rules, and I want to talk about this a lot because the expanded rules are really interesting, except they didn't really do them justice. So the idea with the expanded rules is that you can make your own armies, your own custom armies to fight on the chess-like board, if you will, and then face your opponent. And then when you set up, you can set them up however you like. You don't have to have them in the standard setup. You can place them wherever you want. Here, let me read the expanded rules to you. It's just one paragraph. The expanded rules offer an alternate way to play the game, which gives players more freedom in setting up the board. You may have up to 2 of the same greater piece, and you may play them as you choose on the row closest to you, except for the castle and paladin/lich, which should be played exactly as before. Now, the paladin/lich moves exactly like the queen in chess. So basically what they're saying is the king and queen you always have to have, and then you can have 2 of any other pieces and customize your army. You may have up to 5 of the same lesser pieces, and you may place them as you choose on the next closest row. Additionally, expansion packs are available, which offer you more pieces from which to choose. For the latest information on available expansion packs, please visit, and they have their website. Okay, so here's the thing. This sounds great. This is how the game was presented to me when I first talked to the designers of this game at Gen Con before the game was released. I was excited. This sounds amazing. A game that plays like chess, except you get to customize your armies? Yes, please. Except you can't actually do that. Not yet, anyway. Hopefully one day you'll be able to, and then at that point, my appreciation of this game will have significantly increased from the way it is today, which is where we're getting into the problem with this game. So the thing is this. The box set, which they refer to as the starter edition, comes with just the basic pieces. You can do no varying of your armies with the base set. And you're like, oh, well, what about the expansions they said are available? None of them are available yet. They're working on their first expansion, and it will not have any varied pieces. The first expansion they're working on right now gives you an alternate way to play where instead of being a complete information, full abstract game, it becomes very random, where you roll dice to see what pieces you're allowed to move. Which doesn't sound very fun to me. They gave me a print and play version to check out, but reading it, I was like, this takes away everything I wanted from this game. Their first expansion, in my opinion, should have been out with the game and should have come with at least 1 more lesser piece type and 3 more greater piece types. So you could customize your army. So you could be like, oh, I want this and I want that and I want this and I want that. Because that's the thing, when most people hear the pitch for this game, that's the thing most people are going to be interested in. Oh, chess, but I get to customize my army. That's amazing. I wish that's what this actually was. I wish that the pitch they had for this is how it was today. So, and also, again, it's not coming soon. I reached out to them to say, hey, I think I would appreciate this game much more if the more pieces were available. I don't mind buying my own expansions once they're available. Maybe I'll hold back the review. And they're like, oh yeah, that's not coming soon. We have this other expansion coming soon, but it's not going to have any new pieces in it. And for me, that totally defeats the reason why anyone, or at least why I would want this game. If you feel like me, if you're a big abstract game fan and you were excited by that prospect, it defeats the purpose for you too. And that's very, you know, that's kind of sad and a little bit upsetting to me. So yeah, so basically you've got a game where you have a bunch of pieces that have new moves, different from the way pieces move in chess, and generally speaking are far more restrictive in their moves even though they're on a larger board. So for instance, the Griffin and Dragon, they can fly over pieces and they can move up to 3 spaces orthogonally, so vertically or horizontally. Only 3 spaces, which means it's a lot more restrictive than one of the pieces in chess, except for maybe the knight. You have the giant/ogre who can move 3 spaces forward or forward diagonally or to either side. Again, much more restrictive than how pieces generally move in chess. Now the Death Knight, again, can move 3 spaces in any direction. Any direction is nice, but unless you're in the middle of the board, the majority of the board is not going to be able to be accessed by you. And then as the bigger head scratcher to me is that the Paladin / Lich is not more restricted. They are exactly the same move as a Queen, which means that on a larger board, they actually can move further than a Queen because they can move 10 spaces, whereas a Queen has a maximum move of 8 because it's just a smaller board, which actually juxtapositioned with the smaller moves that the other pieces can make, actually kind of draws more attention to the fact that they are more restricted in their movement than, say, a rook or a bishop would be in chess, because the rook or the bishop can move just as far as the queen, just not as freely, because it can't move in all the same directions. So that's a little odd, especially without having access to more pieces. I mean, these might be okay if you had more pieces released at the same time that maybe had more restrictive moves, but could move further. And then you could decide, oh, well, do I want a piece that can move 3 spaces in every direction, or do I want a piece that can move any number of spaces, but only orthogonally or only diagonally, or something like that? It might be a little interesting to basically mix it up, but they didn't do that, and they haven't done it, and it's not coming soon. I don't know when they're going to have an expansion that actually has more pieces so you can customize your army and really compare and contrast and figure out, which units you want to take. So, for my review of this, I have to stick to what we have available here. And it's just kind of okay at best. It's not great. It's actually, and I was playing this with Alex, and Alex said his opinion of it was he would rather just play chess. And I kind of have to agree with him right now. Without the ability to customize your armies, it's just chess with more restrictive moves and a slightly bigger board. And that is nowhere as cool as the pitch was. And unfortunately, they have not fulfilled on the pitch yet, and do not know when they will be fulfilling on the pitch. So that said, I have to give this 4.5 stars out of 10. I don't want to. I don't like having to give games negative reviews, but unfortunately, that's where this game is at now. But I do reserve the right to come back and revisit this game in the future. If they ever come out with those expansions, I will pay money for them. I will buy them to check out how this game is, with the addition of actually being able to customize your armies, because that's why I wanted to review this game, was for that mechanic, for that concept. So yeah, I may do a video on that in the future, but if one never comes, you can feel free to just infer that this game didn't get any better from its position right now, which is really unfortunate because there's a lot of promise in this concept and it just has not lived up to it. So there you have it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns either on this video or on this game, Gambit of Kings, feel free to put them in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this review of a board game and you'd like to see me do more like it, be sure to give it a like, share it on all forms of social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Board Game Captain. That's Captain spelled a K on YouTube. And until next time, game on.